So here we are again. I'm so sorry for all of the unanswered comments and emails. I've been extremely hesitant to make this video, but I found a moment where I think I can get through it. So let's do this. An explanation is in order. Disappointing friends and family and all of you weighs heavily upon me, but far heavier is the thought that I might turn someone away in desperate need of treatment by suggesting that it may not work. But that's what happened. I'm sure we're all aware that ketamine will not work for everyone, and even for those who find success within, it may not work every time. And with that said, it has worked tremendously for me 6 out of 7 times. But on my 7th crash and burn, I can now genuinely say that I know what it feels like to undergo a ketamine treatment and reap no benefits. I don't know if it's worse or better that I had already found success in 6 previous sessions. I don't know if it's worse to have shattered hope based on assumption or established hope ripped away. I can tell you that no matter which is worse, just to compare those who have an unsuccessful first treatment to those who have had many sessions and then fail. Either way, I can tell you without doubt that having the established hope removed is crushing. There was no question about it when it happened. It was about 6 weeks ago when I received my last ketamine treatment. I was actually feeling great at the time. It was my next scheduled appointment, and I was basically going in to re-up. Everything went as normal. I can't think of anything that was different. Everything went as planned, as normal, as always. But things began to go wrong almost immediately after injection. As soon as I began to drift away, the experience itself turned sad. Not dark exactly, but depressing. My mind decided to focus on something I'd been ignoring for a long time, and that is that in more ways than one, I am alone. I have quite a few friends and family who are very close. I even have a few friends and family who are going through something very similar to what I am. But as anyone with depression can tell you, it is extremely subjective, and ultimately you go through it alone. You will find people who are able to empathize, to commiserate, to share experiences with. But when you are suffering, it can be so alienating. So because of this, maintaining close relationships is extremely difficult, and far more difficult than that is maintaining a romantic relationship. And this is something I haven't pursued for years. I haven't been in a relationship for 4 or 5 years, and in this time, I have not even dated. I have pursued nothing. And it was all very intentional. Prior to 12 months ago, I had decided that I was going to exhaust all options and find a way out of life. And prior to that, I had decided that I was damaged beyond repair. Because of this, it would be unconscionable to pursue a romantic relationship. And prior to all that, I have been in a very small handful of relationships over the years. Anything that lasted more than a couple of months, it was inevitable that I would withdraw, that I would retreat into my mind, because depression comes in waves for me. And when it would hit, with my friends and family, it always felt like the best thing I could do was pull away and keep it from them. It felt like protecting them from me. And maybe some of it was, but it definitely was protecting myself from them. When you tell someone that your suffering is so great that you often contemplate ending your life, I've found it seems to go one of 3 ways. This is all theory. I have nothing to back this up with. Just a personal anecdote. Take it as you will. But it seems to me some will react in fear and lash out. They get angry. Some even go as far as challenging you to follow through on your wish for death. Why don't you just kill yourself, then, they say. Nothing's stopping you. It's hard to think about it objectively in the moment. In the moment, I'm extremely hurt by this, and I get angry in return. I can't see that they're scared. I can't see the hurt that I've caused them by admitting that I want to die, any more than they see the hurt that they've just caused me by telling me to get on with it. I know what it's like all too well to have someone you care about deeply tell you that it hurts so bad all they can think about is an escape. It is scary. The thought of losing that person is so overwhelming that it makes you angry and scared. So I understand where they're coming from. Just understand that that is probably the worst thing you can say to someone who admits this kind of pain to you. Because while I might understand it now, in the moment, it inevitably means the end of that relationship, at least in the interim. Secondly, there are those who seem to be completely unable to empathize with what you're going through and suddenly look at you like you are from a different planet. These are very uncomfortable. It becomes very awkward. This second group of people may be scared as well. These are usually people who are not quite as close, and I would even say, when I have told these people what is going on with me, these are really the people you shouldn't have told to begin with. They tend to be acquaintances, sometimes strong acquaintances. And the only reason I ever have said anything about myself to people like this is a lack of judgment. My boundaries become diminished when I am at my lowest. People naturally want to know why you are, like this may happen at work. People want to know why you're behaving so differently, and I just get tired of hiding it and making excuses. So I become too honest with someone that I know very little about, and this causes them to take a step back, or multiple steps back. They don't know what to do with that kind of information, and things become awkward, and that becomes an end of whatever relationship you had, again, at least in the interim. Then there's the third group, and these are the ones that prevent me from sharing most. These are people you share a close relationship with, and when you confess your struggles, they take it to heart, and it becomes a burden for them, a stressor. Because naturally, for anyone who loves you, the fact that you're in immense pain is going to cause them immense pain. And a lot of them still don't know how to help. They don't experience anything like this on their own, and they do their best. And in the end, nothing anyone says or does is going to make a dramatic difference when it comes to this level of depression. Yes, somebody telling you they love you, they care about you, has an impact. And yes, knowing that there are people there you can go to. There are people who will let you cry on their shoulder, who will even cry with you. This does help in moments. It can definitely be the difference between being able to justify suicide or not in your mind. But for the long-term recovery from depression, I don't think that this is beneficial. While I do believe that for a true remission to occur, a support network is important and can help, but what is vital is treatment, whether that be talk therapy, medication therapy, or whatever therapy, but therapy nonetheless. So after having opened up to pretty much everyone that I care about and who cares about me, I don't think there's anyone left that I'm really close with who doesn't know that I'm plagued with a major depressive disorder, but I've seen what it does to them. I mean, I know I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. I know. In fact, I've said it before, but in my darkest moments when I was closest to ending things, it's just the guilt of what I would do to them. That was enough to keep me here. God, it's really just such a toss-up. I don't really even know what to do. When I get like this, I avoid telling people for a long time, even more so now. All of my friends now have children and are stressed to the hilt already. So to needlessly throw this on them is wrong. Over the years, I've developed this habit of pulling away. That's my MO. I withdraw in order to protect myself and everyone around me. So anyway, back to, this is one thing with friends and family where you already have a barrier between you, just even in physical distance, but in an intimate relationship, withdrawing never goes unnoticed. It always takes a toll. And I know that I have deeply hurt people that I have loved. The last relationship I was in spanned quite a few years, though we broke up often, and I hurt her over and over by pulling away every time I'd get depressed. Although she says otherwise, I am still convinced that I caused irreparable damage to her. So more or less, I swore off relationships, and I did so out of what I believe to be logic. So depression and anxiety coupled with an inability to trust, at least on some levels, it just seemed the rational decision to abstain from intimate relationships. And I stuck to that for the past, somewhere in the 4 to 5 year range. There have been opportunities here and there, but I have ultimately turned away from all of them. And what's funny is after ketamine, so prior to ketamine, I had actively avoided relationships in order to avoid pain for both parties. I would inevitably hurt them, and it would inevitably hurt me when they leave. And they always leave, and why wouldn't they? And this is the thought that persisted over the last 4 or 5 years before ketamine. And then what's funny is that after ketamine, I maintained the resolve, but for slightly different reasons. I considered myself potentially cured from depression, but the damage, the scarring still remained, and I still thought it unfair to pursue a relationship. And now that, coupled with my new endeavor to reach out to and help others like me, it just felt right. After ketamine, I was open to the possibility of somewhere in the future pursuing a relationship again, but I still had no intention of engaging in one anytime in the near future. And I was fine with this, or so I thought. So when I underwent my last ketamine injection, and my mind took me to this place that focused on just how alone I actually am, it shook me. It turns out maybe I'm not as okay with being alone as I once thought I was. Suddenly, not having a significant other was once again significant. All sorts of things started rambling through my head. I'm nearing 40, and the time to responsibly begin a family is quickly coming to a close. And regardless of maybe once again wanting a relationship, I suddenly felt completely incapable of one. It became clear to me that I am just as likely to cause the pain I caused in the past now as I was then. I am not cured of depression. I'm in a state of remission. And more than just feeling without a significant other, it just became crystal clear how much I have separated myself from everyone around me. I don't know if I've done this on purpose or if it's just a natural progression of me being who I am and everyone else being who they are. Other than my brother who lives with me, there is really no one left who I see or talk to on a regular basis. Once or twice a month is as close as it gets. And this was all just the tip of the iceberg. It cascaded into all sorts of feelings that I had not felt in so long. It quickly became apparent that I was more than capable of feeling the darkness I thought I had left behind. The perceived time within the session was nothing extreme. It seemed to last about an hour. When I came out, I knew everything had changed. The first thing I said to my doctor was that this whole experience was depressing, that it was so sad. I didn't really know exactly the impact it had had on me at that point, but I knew that it was unlike any of my other treatments, and it was a little scary feeling these things again. My doctor talked with me for a little longer than normal after the treatment. He could see that something was wrong. I was a little more shaky than usual afterwards, too. It took me longer to recover, to get my legs. He had one of his staff come in and sit with me. I talked with my friend Chris afterwards, who goes with me for treatment of his own, but I didn't want to affect his treatment too much. I also really didn't know the impact that it had had on me at that point. I kind of thought that the medication will still have its effect, regardless of the actual experience itself. I've had less than optimal experiences before, and Still, the residual effects of the treatment were as great or greater than previously best case scenarios. But this was not to be. Over the coming days, things only got worse. The darkness engulfed me. And I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying that I am not suicidal. I do not possess the capacity to take my own life at this time. But I wouldn't mind if it ended. It quickly became a constant theme throughout the day. And now, every waking moment is pain. The days have been getting progressively worse. To begin with, it was like an itch I couldn't scratch, an annoyance, but the looming sadness quickly became everything. And now it dominates. I currently exist in a state of being where distraction is key. It actually really sucks because whereas I need constant stimulation to keep the darkness at bay, I can't seem to focus on anything for a great amount of time and for it to still have that effect. So I find myself watching 10 minutes of a show or a movie, and then I can feel it. So I move on to maybe a video game for another 20 minutes or so until that isn't working, and then I'll read a book. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, but I'm constantly switching up the stimuli, and it's tedious. And the moments where I can't do this are becoming more and more difficult to endure. Trying to sleep is one of them. If I have anything playing, I'll focus on that and I won't sleep. If I turn it off, then the sadness is the focus and I can't sleep. So I haven't been sleeping much. Then there's work, and the work is not enough of a distraction at all. So I spend my 8 hours stuck inside my head. It's taking a toll on my relationships at work already. In fact, I see the consequences of this throughout all of my relationships. I am safe from self-harm. I live with family, so they know what's going on, and I am being monitored. I have confessed this failure to most of my friends at this point. But yeah, I'm back in this place where non-existence is preferable, where I long to have never been born. I have no desire to take my own life, but the pain of existence is overwhelming, and I just can't believe I'm back here. I really thought I was done with this, and it is so disappointing. I definitely see that I've been doing a lot of things wrong. I was riding the success of the ketamine treatment, and I was doing very little else to bolster that success. I know there are steps I need to take, but I am having so much trouble doing it. I'm just trying to avoid thinking about it, and mostly that's working. There are steps I can take. I need to find a new psychologist for talk therapy. I know I need to go back in for another ketamine treatment. But that scares me more than anything. The thought that it will no longer do what it did is truly frightening to me. To know what it felt like to finally be free of depression, and the thought that once is a fluke, right? 1 out of 7. The odds are good that it continues to have a positive effect. But 2 times in a row not working, I think that would be it, right? That would be it. You'd have to admit that it's probably run its course. I'm so scared to find out. It's easier at this point not to know. Sorry, this is really hard to talk about. It's extremely uncomfortable, and I'm dying to get back to my distractions. I did finally set up an appointment for ketamine. It is 6 weeks away. I know that seems like a long time, but I really don't want to do it at all. I may find a way to go sooner, but if it doesn't work, what then? What do I do? I guess I'll get back in line for ECT. That was my next course of action before ketamine came along. I guess I've never tried TMS. I just want what I had, and I want this pain to stop. I'm sorry, this is getting to be, I feel like I've lost my train of thought. I can't think about this anymore. I don't know how long this video will end up being, but I've spent almost 5 hours recording it, I don't really know what the takeaway from this is. It could be that my next treatment will be great, that one bad session doesn't guarantee future bad sessions, but maybe that means that people who experience their first session as a negative can still have successful treatments in the future. I don't know. But what I do know is that videos like this are not beneficial in large quantities. So until I see a change for the positive, whether it be as a result of my next ketamine injection or initiating talk therapy, whatever, this channel will be on hiatus. And I am sorry for that. I am sorry for that. Regardless of how I'm feeling, I will report back on my next ketamine treatment, success or failure. I may try to get that time bumped up. Worst case scenario, it is 6 weeks from now. July 27th is my appointment. Sorry, this is just incredibly exhausting to talk about, and I'm going to stop now. So this time I am telling myself as much as all of you to hang in there, and I will see you next time.